All right, so now we're going to look at basically how to do the opposite of what we were just doing. So a couple things to remember here first. You do need to use periodic table for this. And easy way to remember on the periodic table, you have +1 in the first column, +2 in the second. These are your transition metals, so they're going to be kind of weird. You have a +3 here. This one could be a plus or -4. They usually don't make ionic compounds though. The one with nitrogen is a -3. Then we have a -2. And finally -1. Okay? And then these don't like to react. Alright, so lithium oxide. First thing you want to do is find lithium and your oxide. Now remember, "-ide" is an ending that is just ionic. Okay, so it's lithium and oxygen. So we have our lithium right here and our oxygen here. Okay, so Li and O. Now lithium has a +1 charge. Okay, so that is going to have to be multiplied by something. And then we have oxygen that has a -2 charge. Now remember, this still has to add up to 0. Okay, so we have +1 -2. Right now that's a -1 charge. So you just take this and multiply it by 2. So now it's 2 times +1. So we've got a +2 minus another 2. Okay, so lithium oxide is Li2O. Okay, let me erase this. All right. Okay, so now we're going to keep doing this. So really the thing to remember here is that you have to balance the positive with the negative, okay, in order to make them equal 0. All right, so beryllium chloride. Okay, beryllium we have here is Be. Okay, so we've got a Be. That is a B, I swear. We have chlorine. Okay, so Cl. Now this one, beryllium, is a +2 and chlorine is a -1. Okay, still has to equal 0, so we multiply this -1 by 2. Okay, because now we have a +2 from the beryllium and we have 2 -1s from the chlorines. So it's BeCl2. Right? So you have a +2 from the beryllium and then -1 from each of the chlorines, and you have 2 of them. Okay, so that will equal 0, and it's BeCl2. Okay, now let's move on to our third one here. All right, so this is where we get into titanium. This is a transition metal. So titanium is right here, okay? And then we have nitride. Now remember again, this IDE ending means that it is just the anion. There are no oxygens, it's not a polyatomic ion, okay? Now remember, this Roman numeral right here tells you that this titanium has a +3 charge to it, okay? Now if you look at the nitrogen, it has a -3 charge. So if you add +3 and -3 together, you already go ahead and equal 0. So this one is pretty easy. It's just Tin. 10. Haha. Okay? All right, so let's keep going. So first up, I'm going to go ahead and write the charges here again. So it's actually kind of easy if you just ignore all of the transition metals. Okay, you just do 1, 2, 3, ±4, and then it just counts backwards. Okay, and then again, ignore that column. Gallium hydroxide. So first thing, we know that hydroxide is one of our polyatomic ions, and its formula is OH negative, and it's a -1. So this is why those charges are important. Okay, and then we have gallium. Okay, so if we look, gallium has a +3 charge to it. Okay, each hydroxide has a -1 charge. So you need to have 3 hydroxides in order to balance this charge. Okay, so we have a Ga. Whoa, let me try that one again. Maybe. Oh, that's not going to work there. All right, give me a second. Let's try that one again. Here we go. All right, so Ga, okay, and then we have hydroxide. Now, if you just write it like that, that is wrong. Because what you're telling me in this is that you have 1 gallium, 1 oxygen, and 3 hydrogens. Okay? So this is ignoring the fact that the O and the H are a polyatomic ion. So in order to remind everyone that this is actually a hydroxide ion, you have to have your parentheses around the atoms. Okay? And remember, the 3 tells you that there are 3 hydroxide ions. So the 3 has to go outside of the parentheses. So gallium hydroxide is GaO3. Okay? Just like that. All right, next one. Strontium chloride. Nope, forgot one thing here. All right. So now we need to go out and find our strontium, which is Sr, okay, and chloride, Cl. So we have an SrCl. Now Sr has a +2 charge, and each chlorine has a -1. So we need to double the chlorines in order to balance this. So it's SrCl2, like that. Okay? And aluminum sulfide. All right, so aluminum, let me get my eraser back here. Oops. That works. Okay, so we have aluminum here. I don't know why it just can't change colors. And then sulfide. So again, remember the "ide" ending means that it's just an anion on its own. It is not a polyatomic ion. So we have aluminum that has a +3 charge, and we have our sulfide, which has a -2. All right, so this one is a little bit different. This is the first one that we've had that didn't have one of the ions as either a plus or -1. Okay, so now we have a +3 and a -2. So you cannot use fractions in these formulas. They have to be whole numbers, okay? So aluminum and sulfide don't go perfectly into each other. So what you do is you actually multiply them together. So you're going for a total of +6, okay? So you want a +6 and a -6. That will equal 0, okay? Now you have to multiply aluminum by 2 to get that +6, and your sulfide by 3 to get that -6. Okay, so this one turns out as Al2S3. Okay? All right, so you're going to get more practice in this when we get to the homework assignment. There's actually going to be quite a bit of practice for this, so just get ready for it. It's quite a bit, but I'll be there to help. Make sure you ask any questions you have through any of this, or when you get to the homework assessments, any questions you have about it, please make sure you ask. I want to make sure that you all get this. There are, you can Google names. Let me tell you, Google does not always get it right, okay? And there are certain ones that Google gets wrong every single time. So if you Google them, I will know. There isn't a way you can hide that. I will know which ones, which of y'all Googled them instead of actually going through it. And you won't get credit for it. Okay, that is not actually doing your homework. That is just, that's just lazy. Okay, so you need to ask questions if you have questions about how to do this. And remember, don't Google them. You will get them wrong. All right, so that is it for this section.